Oh my God, can you beat that? You can't beat it. You can't beat it. We're making Christmas gifts. How about that? You can't beat some beautiful Douglas fir and Swedish fishtail gouges, I'll tell you what. I thought with Scott, why am I being still robbed by Canada Post? I am still being held hostage by the dang post office. Tell me how a monstrosity such as Canada Post can... They literally put out a statement, and there's been news articles. We are insolvent. You have got to be kidding me if the people that work there, even out of 100 people that work there, even if one of them knew what that means and could see the writing on the wall, you think he'd tell the 99 others, like, boys, remember how we thought the boat had a hole in it? It turned out we were already at the bottom of the ocean. But what's getting me is, if in your private life, real life, me and you, if you take something into possession from someone, agreed upon under a contract, which my understanding, or at least my feeling, is that when I pay for a shipping service and I get the shipping labels and there's all the fine print and the detail, which I'm sure is in Canada's Post favor. Don't get me, I'm not a lawyer. But man to man, I feel we have agreed into a mutually agreeable binding contract. I gave you funds, you deliver me goods. If you hang on to such goods, you're a thief. That's theft. I don't understand how else you would look at it any other way. Well, we'll just talk about it. The tools in question are indeed the very Swiss hand tools that I'm using right now to make whatever the heck this Christmas gift is with my son. They have been missing for 3 months. I'm certain that I've mentioned this in other Thoughts with Scott prior. So we're not going to dwell on what Canada Post was up to. I just like to keep these about a principle, something that can be focused on, that guys should live their life by. You agreed to do something, you should do it. Now, little backstory. It turned out that the shipment in question for quite some time actually turned out to be held with the Canadian Border Agency, which they were absolutely fantastic to deal with. Believe it or not, if you get the right phone number, you know where to look, you can talk to a real person. Yes, yes, gold star right there. That's got to be the only thing that I was happy about the government for quite some time. I got to talk to a real person, and they're real funny on the phone. Because of course I started to complain a little bit. I still want good customer service, so I'm polite, but they very quickly clam up and they go, "Oh, sir, I'm not too sure I hold an opinion on what you're talking about." I said the same one to every employee. I said, I got you, friend. You got a pension tied up in this and a paycheck. Let me do the complaining on the recorded phone call. But it turned into a case of that there was some paperwork that wasn't transferred back and forth due to the Canada Post strike is what caused the confusion, but we got that straightened out. And then those sneaky buggers, they just update the tracking to say it's going to be delivered tomorrow. And then it's going to be delivered tomorrow. And then it's going to be delivered tomorrow. And then you start to feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. You know what's going to happen. And it never comes. So I pose this question. Leave your answer in the comments. At what point do reasonable folks not just consider that theft? I don't care what the confusion is. I don't care what the problem is. And I understand there's lots of cases in private industry that businesses go bankrupt. They liquidate assets and people get caught in the crossfire. I understand that. But there's at least, I'm sure, some faint idea of a legal recourse. Not that any of us can can afford such a thing. But I have nothing. I'm literally sitting here in the battlefield of shipping, and I don't even have a sharp stick. I'm just like, waving a white flag. Oh, geez, I hope this turns out. Hope's not a strategy. I've said that before. But I do remain... Well, you got to keep your spirits up. Yeah, or you just lose your mind. I'd like the tools back. I'd like to understand how it's not viewed as theft at this point. I'd also like to know the policy that if indeed, because I've seen it on TV, where you got these reality TV shows where they're buying pallets of misplaced and return goods and shipping this and shipping wars that and fiasco this and that. If my goods are not received, Canada Post, through their updates, have acknowledged that indeed they possess the parcel that they have agreed to. We have it. The Canada Border Agency has provided me documentation. We have released it to Canada Post. If, knock on wood, if I don't receive them, which I hope I don't, no, that's backwards. Jinx myself. I hope I do receive them. Knock on wood. That's how that goes. But if I don't, and Canada Post has acknowledged receipt of those goods, and I'm sure there's a process for this, but what happens to them? I certainly don't just get thrown in a dumpster. In this day and age, who knows? But at what point, well, morally, I consider it theft already. You're holding stuff hostage that doesn't belong to you, theft. But where do you go? How does that look to be even good human nature? I hope I get the stuff. It does put a smile on my face. It's dragged on for so long. I've gone from being angry about it to being entertained. So it's even becoming a joke at the local post office. They know us well, and now they have something to tease me about when I go there to drop packages off, which are few and far between. I avoid it like the plague. Anyways, coming soon to the logbuildingtools.ca website, the Red Log Dog, a classic tool, a throwback to a simpler time. These have been around forever. And I made them in all sorts of varieties, 18, 24. I even made some 36 inch because, maybe somebody out there is working with some big timber. Varieties, the spice of life. They're all red. Some are heavier duty than others. There's even a few made out of round stock because that's the shape of the spikes. And I like things that match. So, Swedish tools, Christmas gifts, theft from Canada Post, and I think that's what was on my mind. I appreciate you watching these Thought with Scott episodes. They sometimes waver in direction, but hopefully they have a point. We're fast approaching 5,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, you thought I was gonna say the same thing everybody does, walk over and tell your neighbor to subscribe, Go through your contact list. I'm sure you got an old boss or an ex-girlfriend you haven't talked to in a while. Send them a link. Maybe not to this video, hook them with a real good one. The last one was about sharpening drill bits. I don't know what order the adventures are gonna come in, friends, but I know they're gonna keep coming. So as always, I appreciate you watching, and I was gonna say catch you on the next one. I don't like that either. I should just end it with I don't know what order the adventures are gonna come in. Everybody's got a tagline. We're working on ours.